Hello. In this video, we are again going to graph the wave function solutions to the particle on a ring or rigid rotor problem. But in this one, we're going to use the surface type chart in Excel to get kind of a more three-dimensional view of the wave function. In a new blank worksheet, in cell C2, we type apostrophe distance underscore INC. This is just a label, so you can change that. In cell C3, we type a numerical value, for example, 0.05, and this is how far apart the closest x coordinates are going to be and how far apart the closest y coordinates are going to be. In cell D2, we type apostrophe m sub l, and then in cell D3, we put a numerical integer value. We're starting off at 0. This is the actual value of m sub l. In cell E2, we type apostrophe tolerance, and then in cell E3, a good sample value for this, its numerical value, is going to be something like 0.1. And so this is going to be the thickness of the wave function when we show it using the chart surface style. Then in cell E5, we put a numerical value, minus 1.2, so that's going to be the lowest y coordinate value. In cell F5, we put the formula equals E5 plus $C, $S. So that's going to give us the current y value. Because remember, $C, $S was that distance increment. Then we're going to copy cell F5 from G5 to AZ5. And then similarly for the x coordinates, we have cell D6. We put the numerical value minus 1.2. In cell D7, we put a formula equals D6 plus $C, $3, and that gives us the current x value. And then we're going to copy the formula D7 from D8 to D52. In this slide, we have probably the most complicated part of the entire graphing process, because in cell E6 we have this very, very long, complicated formula. Effectively, what we're doing is taking the x and y coordinates, figuring out what value of the angle phi they have to be, and then evaluating the normalized eigenfunction for those particular sets of coordinates. To get it to work out correctly, we have to kind of do it in two steps. So the first one, we type that formula, and then we copy that cell E6 from E6 to AZ29. Then the second part, we type a very similar looking formula in cell E30. This one, what's different about it is that it has this power function, and it's to account for the fact that in the way that Excel evaluates trigonometric functions, it doesn't evaluate them over the entire 0 to 2 pi distance. It's often just from, say, minus pi to plus pi, or minus pi over 2 to plus pi over 2. Since the trigonometric functions change their sign depending upon which quadrant they're in, that's the tricky part. So to get that to work, in the formula in cell E30, we have this power function. So it's basically using the fact that if we use this type of formula, if we have m sub l being an odd number, we get one sign, positive negative sign. And if we have an even m sub l value, we get the opposite sign. So to get that to work out here, instead of just having one formula that fits all, we have this second formula that's going to go from, we copy from E30 to E30 to AZ52. Now to visualize, we're going to left click on cell D5 and then drag all the way to cell AZ52, keeping the left mouse button held down. Then we go up to the toolbar at top, click Insert, then Charts, then click on All Charts, and then come down to the selection Surface. You'll notice once you do that, in that box that comes up, you'll see 4 different chart icons. The one that we're using here is the one at the very left. Then click OK if you do that. And then later on, once you have your chart, if you have any make it look real nice as far as the borders and colors and all that stuff go, then you can change the eigenfunctions that's displayed by changing cell D3 to another integer, and then your chart that you made will update itself to take that into account. So here is the chart that we get when we have the quantum number m sub l being equal to 0. So at that point, the wave function is just a constant function. Here we have our graph when m sub l is equal to 2. Notice that we have values both above and below the xy plane. So we have both positive and negative parts of the wave function. Notice that we're just graphing the real part of the wave function. When we had m sub l was equal to 0, the wave function was entirely real. But for any other values of m sub l, the wave function is going to be complex. So one way to handle that is just to graph the real part of the wave function. Here we have the display for the real part of the rigid rotor wave function when we have the quantum number m sub l being equal to 3. And for our final example, here we have the real part of the rigid rotor particle on a ring wave function when m sub l is equal to 4. I thank you very much for your kind attention. Stay healthy, stay safe, have a good one.